Hello, Monarch.
Hello.
Hi, Vikram.
Yes, thank you for joining us. This is Vishwas Tamwar with us from Maharaja Sahijirao, am I right? University.
Sayaji Rao.
Sayaji Rao
Yes, Sayaji
University,
Rao.
Baroda. Uh, BLLB third year student. He is passionate about, though he is a law student, but he is very passionate learning philosophy, language, many languages also. So now today, he will be taking us on a journey of tragedy from ancient times of Aristotle to what Arthur Miller has did. Let's start. Welcome, Vishwas.
Okay, thank you, Himanshu. Just a couple of pointers before I start. I'll have to share my screen first. Wait a minute. I'll do that. Done. It's visible, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Huh. Chalo, good. So, a couple of pointers before we start. First off, तो while I'm sharing the screen, I will not be able to see अगर किसी ने हाथ रेज किया हुआ है या फिर किसी ने comment box में question डाला है. तो whenever we finish a slide, if there is a question, I would like Himanshu you to bring
Yes,
that
yes,
up.
I'll
तो हम
take
लोग
care of
साथ
that.
साथ
You
हाँ, we
if
will keep doing it साथ साथ
uh,
rather than saving all the questions for the end.
if there is just a minute, if there is anyone any comment, question, anything, if you want to say anything, just raise hand whenever a slide finishes or he stops discussing it before going to the next slide, and we will take it. We will only take the raised hand, so please try to raise hand. Yes, Vishwas.
Second thing is कि I will be using a mix of English and Hindi, so I'm under the assumption that everybody is comfortable with both the languages. उसके अलावा थर्ड एंड आई गेस द लास्ट मतलब देयर आरंट अ लॉट ऑफ पॉइंटर्स पर से कि I have attempted to talk about this topic, although I really don't know a lot about it. So it would be a more fruitful discussion अगर सब participate करेंगे तो. I would not be able to carry it on for very long. I'll be packing it up. अगर I go अकेले अकेले, I'll go for like 15-20 minutes and that will be that. So if it is more of a discussion, then it will be more beneficial for all of us. हाँ तो that being said, आज we are going to talk about this book and इसके रिप्लाई में लिखा गया एक प्ले एंड इसके रिप्लाई में लिखे गए आंसर्स which are raising questions on literary standards that were established long ago. So this book that I showed you right now is the Poetics of Aristotle. Aristotle was a Greek philosopher. Everybody knows that. I'm not, matlab, it is not new for everybody. Aristotle was primarily concerned with the natural world. He was an empiricist, and his main uh, topics, his main subjects of study was the natural world, which included biology, natural sciences, physics, medicine, and to some degree mathematics. So सबसे पहला question that is raised is why did he write poetics in the first place? मतलब of course he was a polymath so he can delve into that topic, but uh, the ability to do it does not simply mean कि he will do it. Why was there particular need for this man to talk about literature and to talk about drama? तो उसमें सबसे पहला एंड सबसे प्रेसिंग नीड वाज रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू हिज वेरी ओन टीचर his and long term ideological rival. Ideological may be too heavy a word here in retrospect, but rival in ideas. So Plato was the teacher of Aristotle, and Plato had this idea of forms जिसमें आई विल नॉट गो टू मच इनटू इट बिकॉज दैट विल डिविएट मी फ्रॉम द टॉपिक. वेरी बेसिकली स्पीकिंग, फॉर्म्स का जो थियरी है, इट स्टेट्स दैट एवरीथिंग दैट एग्जिस्ट्स in the real world, the world that we are seeing, is but an imperfect copy of a world of that thing existing in an ideal form. So, for example, if there is a tree, you are seeing a tree, so it has some inherent treeness, so to speak. वो ट्रीनेस जो है वो अपने आइडियल फॉर्म में एग्जिस्ट करती है इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ फॉर्म्स. सो इससे हम क्या कंक्लूजन निकालेंगे कि द वर्ल्ड दैट वी आर लिविंग इन इज एन इम्परफेक्ट कॉपी. तो अगर आप उस इम्परफेक्ट कॉपी का फिर एक कॉपी बनाओ, विच इज एसेंशियली व्हाट लिटरेचर इज एज डिफाइंड बाय एरिस्टोटल, एंड जो जनरल कंसेप्शन उस टाइम पे एग्जिस्ट करता था, उसके अकॉर्डिंग यू आर द supposed art that you are creating is only an imperfect copy of the another imperfect copy that exists of the real world. Now, morally speaking, जो प्लेटो ने मॉरल डिराइव किया था अपना फ्रॉम दिस थियरी ऑफ फॉर्म्स वाज दैट वी शुड बी स्ट्राइविंग टू गो टुवर्ड्स द आइडियल एंड नॉट द imperfect copy. So ड्रामा या लिटरेचर या आर्ट टेक्स अस अवे फ्रॉम दैट and towards more imperfection, which is why Aristotle, sorry, Plato disliked the arts. That was the ideological grounding of his criticism of art, but उसके अलावा there was also personal grounding. Personal grounding क्या थी कि Plato was the student of Socrates. Everybody knows that. Socrates जो था, he was criticized in a play written by the Greek playwright Aristophanes. Aristophanes wrote a comedy जिसमें he made fun of Aristotle. Sorry, he made fun of Socrates, which eventually led to a disapproval of Socrates amid general public. अब वो डिसअप्रूवल होने की वजह से प्लेटो का मानना था was what actually led to the execution of Socrates. So basically, he blamed the drama का genre in general for Plato's Socrates' execution. ऐसे में प्लेटो was naturally very much against arts in general and drama in particular. तो ऐसे में एरिस्टोटल का काम ये था that he had to justify why we need या फिर why we what is there which is good in our arts. That was the first reason that he wrote poetics. अगले जो दो reasons हैं, I would like to take them together because ये एक बहुत बड़ा debate है जो philosophy में और humanities के subjects में in general अभी तक चल रहा है. The debate between prescriptivism या descriptivism, which means कि अगर आप किसी subject को study कर रहे हैं, तो what is your job as an intellectual while you are studying that subject? What is your job कि आप उस सब्जेक्ट को, उसका जो कंटेंट्स है जिनको आप स्टडी कर रहे हैं, आप उनको सिर्फ डिस्क्राइब करेंगे या फिर आप उसमें वैल्यू जजमेंट देंगे, अपने आइडिया सजेस्ट करेंगे. एंड बोथ द साइड्स क्वारल अलॉट. अब ज्यादातर हमारे टाइम्स में जो डिबेट का साइड है वो डिस्क्रिप्टिविस्ट्स की तरफ ज्यादा झुका हुआ है. देयर हैव बीन टाइम्स जब प्रिस्क्रिप्टिविस्ट्स हैव हैड द अपर हैंड, and there will be times when the whole debate will take a new turn altogether. However, around the time of Plato ये debate as such exist करता नहीं था, neither in ancient Greece nor in any other part of the world that we generally find to encounter. इंडिया में भी वी फाइंड जैसे टेक्स्ट लाइक नाट्य शास्त्र एग्जिस्ट और इवन टेक्स्ट लाइक कामसूत्र एग्जिस्ट, उसमें देयर इज बोथ एन एलिमेंट ऑफ डिस्क्रिप्शन एंड एन एलिमेंट ऑफ वैल्यू जजमेंट, और ये चीजें आपस में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं करती. तो इन दैट स्पिरिट एरिस्टोटल जो है वो डिस्क्राइब भी करते हैं अपने टाइम की लिटरेरी प्रैक्टिसेस को कि व्हाट यूज्ड टू हैपन, एंड ही आल्सो गिव्स वैल्यू जजमेंट ऑन देम. ओके, एंड द फोर्थ एंड फाइनल रीजन why he was writing the poetics is to actually define what poetry is, what arts is, and differentiating it from history. अब ये एक और चीज है विच आई बिलीव इज यूनिक टू एंशियंट ग्रीस, एंड मे बी ये प्लेटो का, एरिस्टोटल का सबसे बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन था वाइल राइटिंग द पोएटिक्स। ये लार्जली इग्नोर्ड है, बट आई वुड बिलीव कि हमें इसके बारे में बात करनी चाहिए, बिकॉज बिफोर एरिस्टोटल हमें मिलता है जो भी टेक्स्ट ऑफ फिलोसोफर्स, हिस्टोरियंस एंड ऑथर्स, उसमें देर इज नो डिस्टिंक्शन। we do not find any sort of grounding कि this is a work of art या this is a work of history। एंड क्योंकि ये इतना मैलिएबल है, तो आप किससे क्या ड्रॉ कर सकते हैं वैल्यू का, वो ब्लड है। ऐसे में एरिस्टोटल बिलीव्ड कि हमें हिस्ट्री को और लिटरेचर को सेपरेट करना चाहिए, and he actually talks about it in his poetics chapter number 9 mein. I would like to quote it: the poet and the historian differ not by writing in verse or in prose. The work of Herodotus was a Greek historian. The work of Herodotus might be put into verse, and it would be still a species of history, with meter no less than without it. The true difference is that one relates to what has happened and the other what may happen. Poetry, therefore, is a more philosophical and a higher thing than history, for poetry tends to express the universal, history the particular. Again, he is describing something as well as giving the value judgment, and इनके universality वाले concept पे we will come back later. So these are basically the reasons why Aristotle actually chose to write the Poetics. Now, what actually is in Poetics? Just a minute. Huh. There are a lot of things that he has talked about. It is a rather smallish text. It would have been bigger, but हमारे साथ एक ट्रेजेडी ये हुई है कि एरिस्टोटल की पोएटिक्स का ऑलमोस्ट हाफ जो टेक्स्ट था, द लेटर हाफ इज लॉस्ट। वी ओनली हैव द पार्ट वेर ही टॉक्स अबाउट ट्रेजेडी, कॉमेडी वाला पार्ट हैज बीन लॉस्ट इन टाइम। तो उसके बावजूद इट हैज बीन अ वेरी फॉर्मेडेबल टेक्स्ट विच टॉक्स अबाउट अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स इन अ वेरी डेंस मैनर। तो हम लोग अभी सारा डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे बिकॉज इट इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट द पोएटिक्स बट द पार्ट दैट इज रेलेवेंट टू अस हियर। सो सबसे पहली चीज जो हमने स्टार्टिंग में ही डिस्कस की, दैट पोएट्री एग्जिस्ट्स एज इमिटेशन। यहां पे व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट पोएट्री, द मीनिंग ऑफ पोएट्री is different than how we understand it. It is not only talking about poems in general, it is talking about the literary arts, the verbal art that is different from history, या फिर you can say different from factual writing. So that whole set of writing जो artistic aesthetic उसमें लिखी गई है, that would be lumped in as poetry. Therefore ये जो text है, it is more of a literary criticism का text, but it is still named poetics, which actually leads to some misunderstanding and by the title. Now, poetry exists as imitation of the real world as it is, or as it is said to be, or as it should be. Imitation is again just like poetry, a word is often misinterpreted. Imitation does not only mean that you have to merely copy and uh, repackage the world that is existing right in front of you. Along with that, it is also possible that you are imitating a world as the way it has been described by somebody else, or the way that you would like it to be. That would still count as a valid form of imitation. इसके philosophical implications बहुत ज़्यादा है, and we may come back to it at the end of the discussion. But further moving on, पोइट्री के दो कॉजेज मेंशन किए हैं एरिस्टोटल ने, एंड जो दो कॉजेज ऑफ पोइट्री हैं वो है ह्यूमंस की दो नीड्स। ह्यूमंस जो पोएट्री से जो प्लेजर डिराइव करते हैं, दैट इज अ क्वेंचिंग ऑफ टू ऑफ देयर नीड्स। पहली है द नीड टू सी इमिटेशन। ओके, इट इज नॉट ओनली दैट इमिटेशन हम कर रहे हैं, वी आर डूइंग इट फॉर अ पर्पस। ह्यूमंस लाइक टू सी लाइकनेसेस। We as people have a general tendency to appreciate something that resembles a part of us or us in general, or something else that we hold in reverence. The second thing that we like is harmony. Again, humans, and this is not only limited to humans, it has been found to be the case with other members of the animal kingdom as well, that they have a likeness for harmony. Poetry, therefore, good poetry, therefore, would be some thing जिसमें ये दोनों चीजों का ध्यान रखा जाए. It imitates well, and it produces good harmony. Now, how does one go about doing that? तो उसमें कैटेगराइजेशन जो की है एरिस्टोटल ने, वो की है between three things: the medium of interpretation, imitation, the object of imitation, and the manner of imitation. Medium जो है, medium simply refers to the kind of verbal organization. The medium of interpretation means कि आपने उसको वर्स में लिखा है, दैट इज आपने जिसको हम आज पोएट्री बोलते हैं, राइमिंग के साथ, मीटर के साथ, आपने उसको उस फॉर्म में लिखा है, वर्स में लिखा है, या फिर आपने उसको जनरल पैराग्राफ फॉर्म में, प्रोज में लिखा है, जिसको हिंदी में हम गद्य और पद्य बोलते हैं. मीडियम ऑफ इंटरप्रिटेशन इज इमिटेशन इज आइदर वर्स और प्रोज. ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ इमिटेशन जो है कि आपने किस चीज को इमिटेट किया है, वो अपने रियल लाइफ से के एग्जिस्टेंस से किस तरह डिफरेंट है. ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ इमिटेशन माइट बी हायर देन हाउ इट एग्जिस्ट्स, the same as how it exists, and lower as how it exists. It is a little difficult concept to grasp at first, so we will come back to it later. And manner of imitation. Now, manner of imitation was something जो डेवलप हो ही रहा था एरिस्टोटल के टाइम पर. It was something that was very fresh, and therefore Aristotle got to lay down a lot of ground rules for it. मैनर ऑफ इमिटेशन में प्राइमरीली दो काइंड्स एग्जिस्ट करते हैं, दो जिनके बारे में एटलीस्ट एरिस्टोटल बात करते हैं. वो दो काइंड्स हैं नैरेटिव एंड ड्रामा. तो अगर आपने एक पोएम लिखी जिसमें आप एक डिस्क्रिप्शन दे रहे हो किसी चीज का, दैट इज नैरेटिव. देयर इज वन नैरेटर दैट इज नरेटिंग द इवेंट्स इन अ लीनियर फैशन. बट if you are writing a drama, that means it is going to have dialogues, it is going to have people who are going to act it out. Okay, तो हमारे पास हो गए दो मीडियम, तीन ऑब्जेक्ट्स एंड दो मैनर, विच मेक्स अ टोटल ऑफ 12 कॉम्बिनेशंस. बट उन 12 में से नॉट ऑल ऑफ देम सर्वाइव्ड, बिकॉज एक तो लैक ऑफ पॉपुलैरिटी, दूसरा मे बी नोबडी इवन ट्राइड दैट कॉम्बिनेशन बिकॉज इट वुड नॉट प्रोड्यूस एनी डिजायर्ड इफेक्ट. होते होते हमारे पास रहे तीन फॉर्म्स: ट्रेजेडी, कॉमेडी एंड एपिक, जिसमें से ट्रेजेडी एंड कॉमेडी आर द वंस जिनके बारे में एरिस्टोटल बात करते हैं, जो है ड्रामा के फॉर्म्स. नाउ एक इनको अगर हम सिंपल डिस्क्रिप्शन दें तो वह ऐसा होगा कि एपिक इज अ लॉन्ग पोएम जो नैरेटिव फैशन में लिखी गई है, जो ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ इमिटेशन उसका हायर बीइंग्स है. So, if you are thinking about an epic poem, Greek world में, the most obvious thing that will come to your mind is Homer की Iliad and Odyssey. Both of them are very long poems. Both of them are very ornate, and both of them talk about characters which are presented as greater than what they are in real life. नाउ ट्रेजेडी एंड कॉमेडी जो है, उनमें से ट्रेजेडी इज समवट क्लोज टू एपिक, विच इज व्हाई एरिस्टोटल calls it, Aristotle says that tragedy has all the elements of epic, but epic does not have all the elements of a tragedy. So what is that which is unique to tragedy? ट्रेजेडी में जो मैनर ऑफ इमिटेशन है वो चेंज हो जाता है, एंड उसके चेंज होने की वजह से एक सीरीज ऑफ चेंजेस आते हैं जो ट्रेजेडी के लिए एंडेमिक है, उसके लिए पर्टिकुलर है. चेंजेस लाइक उसका साइज, चेंजेस लाइक उसमें डिस्कस करे जाने लायक टॉपिक्स एंड सो ऑन. कॉमेडी ऑन द अदर हैंड वो भी ट्रेजेडी की तरह ड्रामा के ही फॉर्म में है, लेकिन उसमें ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ इमिटेशन चेंज हो जाता है, एंड इट टॉक्स अबाउट common folk. It talks about things which are more general in life. It does not talk about very higher things. However, higher and serious are two very different things. Something which has been thought of by a poet that it is something that deserves to be talked about, that deserves to be written about, it is not something that is trivial, of course. But comedy का मतलब क्या होता है? Something which is not talking about हायर पीपल इन लाइफ, जो कॉमन फोक की स्टोरीज पे हो, जो कॉमन मैन को डिस्क्राइब करता हो, जैसे कि दांते एलिगियरी की डिवाइन कॉमेडी. दैट वाज नॉट अ ड्रामा, बट इट वाज स्टिल रेफर्ड टू एज अ कॉमेडी बिकॉज दांते वाज अ, other than being a poet, he was a common citizen of Florence. So while in his epic poem, he goes to heaven, he goes through hell, he goes through a whole lot of shit, but he's still a common man. And उसके जो implications है, him being a common man, जो उसके साथ जो बैगेज आता है, उसकी वजह से जो स्ट्रक्चर डिवाइन कॉमेडी का है, इट इज वाई दैट टेक्स्ट इज नोन एज अ कॉमेडी. मूविंग ऑन, हम लोग को यहाँ पे बात ट्रेजेडी करनी है प्राइमरीली. तो एरिस्टोटल की पोएटिक्स में हम लोग को ट्रेजेडी के बारे में बहुत डिटेल मिलती है, जिसमें से सबसे पहली डिटेल है कि what does tragedy imitate at all?
Harsh, रुको, wait a minute.
Okay.
There is some question from, I think, yes, Ayush, would you like to say yourself or I move?
Yes, I think I can say it.
Great.
Vishwas, you mentioned a good poem should create a feeling of harmony, or at least the aim should be to create something related to harmony. Now, the question I wrote is I might be missing something here, which is completely possible, but is not harmony a relative term? So, for example, a patriotic poem can produce feelings of harmony, let's say, between two political parties, rival political parties in a nation, um, but it will produce the opposite feeling in some different enemy state,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So, is that all? Should I speak now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, you are absolutely right, and you are actually not the first person who raised the question. जब तक एरिस्टोटल का एंड उसके जैसे फिलोसफर्स, उसके आसपास के टाइम के फिलोसफर्स के आइडियाज को बेडरॉक मानकर फिलोसफी की जा रही थी, अप अंटिल से रेने डेकार्ट और इमानुअल कांट, तब तक it was not something which was particular to arts or even to poetry or harmony, but in general relativism as an idea did not really exist. हम अभी रिलेटिविज्म को एज अ ग्रांटेड लेते हैं कि थिंग्स आर डिफरेंट फॉर डिफरेंट पीपल, बट दैट वाज नॉट समथिंग जो एरिस्टोटल थॉट. It is not a defense of him, but what I'm trying to say is कि that was the rationale that Aristotle gave. अभी भी अगर आप पोएटिक्स को पढ़ेंगे या फिर एरिस्टोटल की किसी भी किताब को पढ़ेंगे, तो यू विल रियलाइज दैट ही इज मेकिंग अ लॉट ऑफ assumptions which can be said कि it may be true for you but it is not true for me. And that was the reason why people actually disagreed with the likes of Aristotle, and this, which is why people like Arthur Miller actually wanted to produce a different landscape for theater, wanted to produce a different idea of a tragedy, and wanted अब harmony is a different concept for different people, which is agreeable by everyone here. However, we are still, अभी हमने ये बात तो रख दी कि हार्मनी इज डिफरेंट फॉर डिफरेंट पीपल, बट हम इसमें ये गिवन ले रहे हैं कि हार्मनी फिर भी होनी चाहिए एक पोएम में. देयर वर अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु डिड नॉट अग्री विद दैट आल्सो. दे वांटेड आर्ट्स टू बी अ सोर्स ऑफ chaos फॉर द ह्यूमन माइंड. सरियलिस्ट्स जो थे या फिर पोस्ट मॉडर्निस्ट जो थे, दे वर ऑल अबाउट dissecting the structures that we had created for ourselves, that we had created, and harmony was perhaps the biggest part of it. एरिस्टोटल की ने जो हार्मनी की डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया है, उसमें ही गेट्स वेरी स्पेसिफिक कि दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ थिंग दैट प्रोड्यूसेस अ हार्मोनिक इफेक्ट, but that may not be true for anybody, and that may not be even considered as something which is desirable, right? Many people might say, अब अगर आप इसका अगर एक एनालॉजी में लूं, विजुअल आर्ट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल. तो इफ यू गो टू विजुअल आर्ट्स, तो अप अंटिल रेनेसांस आपने जो पेंटिंग्स देखी है, मोनालिसा है, इट कंटेन्स अ लॉट ऑफ व्हाट वी कैन डिस्क्राइब एज हार्मनी. एक बार को अप अंटिल विंसेंट वैन गॉग, इट कंटेन्स अ लॉट ऑफ हार्मनी. बट जब आप देखेंगे मॉडर्न आर्ट, एब्स्ट्रैक्ट आर्ट, दैट एक्टिवली ट्राइज टू डू अवे विद दैट हार्मनी, उनका यही ग्राउंडिंग है जो आपने रेज किया है कि हार्मनी इज रिलेटिव टू, it is different to different people, it is relativist. Plato did not consider it, which is one of the major and one of the most recurring critics of Plato, Aristotle and the like, मतलब generally ancient Greek philosophers का, and to some extent उसके बाद भी आए हुए philosophers का general critique है that they did not really take relativist ideas into account at all.
Yes, I think that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay. So
Ram is
now,
also there. Ram also wants to
Eh,
ask.
Yeah,
okay,
I have a question. So
okay.
you said poetry can either be prescriptive or descriptive, right?
No,
And
no,
there
no.
is a
The,
fundamental difference between history and poetry.
hmm.
So if poetry is descriptive, doesn't it just become history? Because history also describes a state of the world at a certain point of time. And if poetry becomes descriptive, it just can also call it likewise history.
Okay, there are actually two ways of answering. First, I believe that I may have used the wrong kinds of words to imply the what I'm trying to say. What I was saying कि प्रिस्क्रिप्टिविस्ट एंड डिस्क्रिप्टिविस्ट पोएट्री नहीं है, पोएट्री की स्टडी जो एरिस्टोटल ने की है वो है. सो वाइल एरिस्टोटल डिड नॉट राइट, मतलब एटलीस्ट टू माय नॉलेज ही नेवर रोट अ single play, he never wrote a single poem, he was merely talking about it from a philosophical point of view. तो उस एरिस्टोटल की जो स्टडी है वो डिस्क्रिप्टिविस्ट या डिस्क्रिप्टिविस्ट फॉर्म में आती है, पोएट्री नहीं. पोएट्री अगर होने को मतलब वी कैन से कि यस पोएट्री डिस्क्राइब्स एज वेल, but that is not necessary कि it becomes history, because again as we said कि it is an imitation. And if you read the poetics in detail, he'll talk about कि what are the parts of that imitation that you can change, what are the extent to which you can imitate, what are the extents to which. So this was the reason why he wanted to distinguish between poetry and history, कि
Got it.
हिस्ट्री जो है हर चीज को अपनी फेस वैल्यू पे लेती है, पोएट्री जो है उसको नहीं लेती. अब ये डिस्टिंक्शन, व्हाई आई वांटेड टू ले एक्स्ट्रा स्ट्रेस ऑन दैट, बिकॉज व्हेन आई वाज प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर दिस प्रेजेंटेशन आई डिड नॉट कम अक्रॉस एनीबॉडी who so far, मतलब my research was also very limited, but so far I did not come across anybody who was taking this development of Aristotle as seriously. Okay, but I believe personally that it is a very major breakthrough that Aristotle achieved, because ऐसा हमें बाकी सिविलाइजेशंस में देखने को नहीं मिलता. हमें अंटिल, मतलब चलो बाहर और दूर तो क्या ही जाना, मैं अगर बाकी कंट्रीज से एग्जांपल दूं, इन इंडिया हमारे पास एग्जिस्ट करता है इतिहास का कॉन्सेप्ट. इफ यू स्टडी संस्कृत यू विल रियलाइज दैट इतिहास इज वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम हिस्ट्री. ओके, history is merely recording and maybe interpreting, debating upon the nuances of what happened in general. इतिहास जो है उसमें there is a historic element, but उसमें distinction नहीं है between poetry and history, which is why a lot of what could have been our history is lumped into what is our mythology. Had a thinker like Aristotle existed here, we may, मतलब चलो that may be wishful thinking to think right now, but ऐसा होने की वजह से मॉडर्न टाइम्स में जो हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट्स है, उस टाइम पे महाभारत ने अपनी रिक्वायरमेंट्स फुलफिल की, रामायण ने अपनी रिक्वायरमेंट्स फुलफिल की. आज के टाइम में जो हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट्स है वो उनको फुलफिल नहीं कर पाता है. एंड ये डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन पोएट्री एंड हिस्ट्री, इवन दो बोथ ऑफ देम आर टू सम एक्सटेंट डिस्क्रिप्टिव इन नेचर, एज अ इंटेलेक्चुअल वैल्यू, समथिंग ऑफ इंटेलेक्चुअल वैल्यू, वो
Yeah.
डिफर कर पाता है इन दोनों में. आई होप
One,
दैट
yeah, one of the things that actually it does answer. Thanks for that. One of the things that I was thinking when you were speaking was religion fundamentally uses a lot of art, and religion is bound to be, like, from my knowledge, prescriptive, but how a life should live. So when you're saying ki jo itihas is fun, could be it's not necessary. You don't know where to put it, history or mythology, I think probably it was intended to be prescriptive and incorporated a bit of description in
It
doing so
was,
also.
it was very much it was. You are on the right track because हम लोग जब हिस्ट्री इतिहास के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, there are in fact many scholars who are right now trying to develop a whole field of study which is devoted to studying itihas and itihas systems. That is actually known as itihasology or Puranology. Himanshu must be knowing about it more than I do. There are a lot of scholars who are trying to work upon it right now. कि इतिहास का जो कॉन्सेप्ट था, अगेन अगर आप इतिहास में जाएंगे, दैट वुड काइंड ऑफ शिफ्ट द डायनामिक ऑफ द कॉन्वर्सेशन राइट नाउ, बट आई थिंक दैट इज समथिंग दैट इज वर्थ डिस्कसिंग. इतिहास में द पर्पस ऑफ राइटिंग इतिहास, जैसे कि एरिस्टोटल का हमने डिस्कस किया, व्हाई वुड वन राइट पोएटिक्स, व्हाई वुड ही राइट पोएटिक्स. तो वैसे ही व्हाट इज द पॉइंट ऑफ स्टडीइंग द पास्ट. तो kind of like the German philosopher Hegel said कि we can dig out pieces of value from our past. So इंडिया के स्कॉलर्स थे उस टाइम के, ऋषि जो थे जिन्होंने ये इतिहास लिखे, उनका ये मानना था that we can draw something of value and therefore जो actual facts हैं उसके जो हुआ था एक्चुअल में, that is not something which is as important. आप उससे क्या डिराइव कर रहे हो, that is more important, which is why जो हुआ था इतिहास लिखते हुए ऑल्टर कर दिया जाता है. एंड इट इज समथिंग दैट इज फाउंड इन एंशिएंट ग्रीस बिफोर एरिस्टोटल, दैट इज फाउंड as late as 700-800 year old Persian poets. When I was studying Persian poetry, so you find that उनकी जो बायोग्राफीज लिखी जाती हैं, they are changed. इतना दूर भी क्या ही जाए, उर्दू पोएट्री में भी like 200 years ago there was this Urdu poet Mir Taqi Mir. He writes his own autobiography, but for him the object of writing that autobiography is to discuss some ideas about aesthetic and Sufism, because he was a Sufi in nature. So he puts more impetus on interpreting his personality in the light of Sufism, and while doing that he changes the thought of what really happened. Why we can say that is because अगर आप उन चीजों का आप एक उसमें लगाओगे सीरीज में, so you will find कि इनमें से कई चीजें improbable हैं, कई चीजें outright contradictory हैं to each other, but that would not mean कि it loses its value as a, मतलब we can say it is kind of an itihas in its own regard, although a Sanskrit scholar might take offense on that, but I would dare say that.
Correct.
See,
Thanks.
there too we have the idea of kavya. They are not mere history.
ये क्या हिमांशु?
मैं ये कह रहा था कि वो भी काव्य है ना,
Yes,
रामायण
exactly.
महाभारत. They are not historical facts only.
यस यस यस. अब यही है कि आप इस चीज को कैसे लेते हैं. जैसे अभी रिसेंटली उर्दू में अगर क्रिटिसिज्म जो आया है, लिटरेरी क्रिटिसिज्म जो आया है, उनका उसका मानना है कि वी शुड बी आउटराइट रिजेक्टिंग व्हाट द पोएट सेज अबाउट एनीथिंग इन द वर्ल्ड इन जनरल एंड ओनली फोकस ऑन द एस्थेटिक पार्ट ऑफ इट, जो अपने आप में कंसर्न सही है. बिकॉज अब हमारा जो डिस्टिंक्शन है बिटवीन पोएट्री एंड मतलब आर्ट्स एंड हिस्ट्री इज क्वाइट ग्रोन. अब इट इज क्वाइट मैच्योर्ड, तो वो डिबेट एग्जिस्ट करने की जरूरत है नहीं. वी डू नॉट नीड टू डिराइव आवर हिस्टोरिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग प्राइमरीली फ्रॉम द टेक्स्ट. तो ये है कि अब उसकी जो वैल्यू है वो ज्यादातर डिवॉल्व, नॉट एग्जैक्टली डिवॉल्व में भी द रॉन्ग वर्ड, बट उसकी वैल्यू जो है वो ऑल्टर हो रही है एज एन ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ एस्थेटिक प्लेजर प्राइमरीली, एंड देन मे बी टू अ वेरी माइनर डिग्री समथिंग जिससे आप एक हिस्टोरिकल वैल्यू निकाल सकते हैं.
Interesting.
Okay, so should I go on या फिर if there is any question तो
No, move it.
ओके. तो पोएटिक्स में एरिस्टोटल, जो पोएटिक्स हमारे पास आई है एटलीस्ट, उसमें एरिस्टोटल प्राइमरीली टॉक्स अबाउट द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेजेडी. हाउ डिड ट्रेजेडीज कम इनटू बीइंग, हाउ आर दे रिटन, हाउ वर दे रिटन, क्या पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं व्हाइल राइटिंग, किस टाइप की ट्रेजेडीज हैं, एंड व्हाट आर द आइडियल्स दैट मे बी एस्टैब्लिश्ड. तो सबसे पहले की ट्रेजेडी अबाउट द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेजेडी, तो हमने एपिक पोएट्री की बात की थी. एपिक पोएट्री was the जॉनर जिसमें आप सीरियस डिस्कशंस करते थे, जिसमें आप हायर सोशल ऑर्डर के लोगों की बात करते थे, विच इंक्लूडेड किंग्स, ग्रेट वॉरियर्स, गॉड्स एंड द लाइक. तो वाइल इट एग्जिस्टेड एज अ रिटन फॉर्म, उसके बाद जब उसको परफॉर्म किया जाता था तो देयर यूजुअली वॉज वन पर्सन जो उसको नरेट करता था एंड अ कोरस जो उसके साथ गाता था. बाद में देयर वर अ लॉट ऑफ प्ले राइट्स जिन्होंने अपने स्क्रिप्ट में थोड़े बहुत डिफरेंसेस किए. किसी ने 2 एक्टर्स इंट्रोड्यूस किए, फिर किसी ने 3 इंट्रोड्यूस किए जो पार्ट्स. अब नेचुरली आप करेंगे ऐसा तो आपको पार्ट्स डिवाइड करने पड़ेंगे लोगों में. इवेंचुअली ड्रामा उस एपिक के स्ट्रक्चर से डेवलप हुआ जब आपने उन पार्ट्स को नीटली डिवाइड कर दिया दैट वी आर एक्चुअली गोइंग टू यूज दीज पीपल हु आर गोइंग टू प्ले डिफरेंट पार्ट्स. ऐसे ही कॉमेडी भी एक लेसर फॉर्म ऑफ पोएट्री, लेसर एज एन नॉट लेसर इन वैल्यू बट एक लेसर सोशल ऑर्डर का डिस्कशन करने वाली, एंड पोएट्स में थोड़ा लेसर रिगार्ड होता था उसका. दोज फॉर्म्स आर नाउ नोन एज लैम्पूनर्स. मॉडर्न ग्रीक इक्विवेलेंट जो है उसका उसका जब उसका भी जब इंग्लिश में इंटरप्रिटेशन आता है तो दैट इज ट्रांसलेटेड एज लैम्पूनर्स. जो लैम्पूनर पोएम्स होती थी दे वर यूजुअली शॉर्टर, दे वर अबाउट more trivial topics, and they usually had happy endings, more happy endings, which made the audience laugh. तो जब वही सेम डेवलपमेंट का कोर्स उस लैम्पूनर के जॉनर ने फेस किया तो दैट इवॉल्व्ड इनटू कॉमेडी. अब डिफरेंस ये आया कि एपिक पोएट्री जो था इट हैड इट्स ओन वैल्यू, इट held its own importance, at least intellectual circles में it held its own importance, as well as common folk may it held a different kind of importance. Epic survived. Epic survived, tragedy survived. Tragedy came into being, comedy came into being, but comedy की जो ancestor form थी लैम्पूनर्स वो serious intellectual discussion से बाहर चली गई. It now became कि हाँ भाई कॉमन लोग जो आपस में poems लिख रहे हैं, but that was not something that was considered worth any literary study, at least by the likes of Aristotle. ऐसे ट्रेजेडी डेवलप होती है. एंड ट्रेजेडी में इमिटेशन किस प्रकार से होता है तो exactly as Aristotle puts it, it is the imitation of serious and certain action of a certain magnitude. Now serious means something which is of अब सीरियस को आप कैसे भी इंटरप्रेट करें एक वैल्यू जजमेंट आ जाएगी. So let's just go with having the value judgment, something which is deemed more important by the social standards. Okay, when you're talking about warriors, when you're talking about kings, when you're talking about heroic figures, when you're talking about demigods, that would be something which is deemed serious. See, people who are, people of value, who are talking about something which is important to civilization, their own civilization, and certain action. Certain is pretty self-explanatory. It should not be really vague in nature. ऐसा नहीं कि there is no real point to it. Of a certain magnitude. Certain magnitude means जो आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव है उस प्ले को प्रेजेंट करने का, उस ड्रामा को प्रेजेंट करने का, it should have its own, for the lack of a better word, density. How can I interpret it is rather individual at this point of time, but आपको इसको experience करने के लिए I would suggest that you can go through some Greek tragedies. Even tragedies like that of Shakespeare will do, at least उसका subject matter समझने के लिए. Shakespeare differed considerably from Aristotle का dramatics because of course there is a 1500-year-old gap between them, but nevertheless जो वो है ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ इमिटेशन है वो एरिस्टोटेलियन ही है बहुत ज्यादा नेचर में. या इवन इफ यू डोंट वांट टू डेल्व इनटू दैट, द सिंपलेस्ट वे वुड बी टू either watch the play or read the play as per your preference. I would suggest watch the play Oedipus Rex. Oedipus Rex was a play written by the Greek playwright Sophocles, and it was put on stage around like 50-60 years before Aristotle was born. So it was a fairly new play, and it would not be a long jump to say that it was Aristotle ka favorite play, because every point जब वो poetics में अच्छे poetic standards की बात करता है, he gives the example of Oedipus Rex. So in the object, manner of imitation, the kind of plot that is created, एरिस्टोटल के आइडिया ऑफ ट्रेजेडी को समझने के लिए द बेस्ट वे वुड बी टू एक्चुअली वॉच एन एरिस्टोटेलियन प्ले in an Aristotelian fashion. If you would want, I can share a link to the a YouTube link to the staging of that play on the group if anybody would you like. फिलहाल moving on, the manner of imitation is action, which is self-evident because ये एक ड्रामा का फॉर्म है. मैनर ऑफ इमिटेशन एक्शन से मुराद है कि आप उसको नैरेटिव के फॉर्म में डिस्क्राइब नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप उसको एक्ट करके दिखाने वाले हैं. दैट इज प्रीटी सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी. आगे एक चीज जो आर्थर मिलर जिसको क्रिटिसाइज implicitly, not explicitly, but as a consequence of it, Arthur Miller stands against it. Ornate language. Aristotle believes that अगर आप एक ट्रेजेडी बना रहे हैं and अगर आप एक सीरियस प्ले लिख रहे हैं, आप एक सीरियस टॉपिक को डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, तो यूजिंग द कॉमन मैन्स लैंग्वेज इज नॉट द वे टू गो. सो अगर आप इंस्टेड ऑफ सेइंग यूज, अगर मैं एक मॉडर्न इंग्लिश एग्जांपल दूं, इंग्लिश ऑफ इंस्टेड ऑफ सेइंग यूज you would employ a word like utilize. तो आप एक ornate language create करते हैं, a language that is filled with metaphors, a language that has a strong imagery, a language that appears to be of some high order to achieve that means and to achieve that aesthetic experience, as opposed to comedy which comparatively at least uske it uses more lowly language, lowly in the sense common man ki language. There is one thing that needs to be noted here ki when I am using the word high and low, it is only the way Aristotle and up until very recently जो aesthetic senses थी हमारे literature की and हमारे drama की, that is the way it was used. It is not a value judgment जो आज भी stand करता है. One can say कि कॉमन मैन का कल्चर जो होता है वो सीरियस नहीं होता क्या, या फिर व्हाट मेक्स अ वर्ड लाइक यूटिलाइज मोर ornate or serious or aesthetically beautiful compared to a word like use. So yes, that a case for that can be made, a debate for that can be held, but as of now जो व्यूज एरिस्टोटल के हैं वो इस क्लास डिवीजन को एक्सेप्ट करते हैं. अगला है एंड इट इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वन कि what is the objective of writing that tragedy. Okay, what are you trying to achieve in writing it is to evoke a sense of fear and pity in the audience. This sense of fear and pity, the kind of emotional state, the kind of mental state that is achieved by inducing fear and pity in the watchers, is what Aristotle calls catharsis. Catharsis is a topic जिसके ऊपर अपने आप में एक डिस्कशन किया जा सकता है because it is even now subjected to much debate. What exactly did he mean? How can we translate the word catharsis? Some say that it should be purification. Some say that it should be interpreted as purgation. Some say that it should be interpreted as resolution. What exactly did he mean? वो समझने के लिए we will have to use an analogy that catharsis actually is a medical term. मतलब Aristotle, other than the poetics, he uses it as a medical term. He uses it while discussing the purification of body from various fluids, including menstrual fluid. So when menstrual fluid leaves the body, so that leaving the body का जो state का जो वो है process है, sort of like क्या बोलते हैं, sort of purgation of any toxins from the body would be termed as catharsis. In that regard, I believe that the translation of resolution is relatively the best explanatory one. Although it would be better अगर हम इस word को untranslated छोड़ के as catharsis ही use करें. तो what does it exactly mean is जब आप कोई play देखें and it evokes that sense of fear and pity, it uplifts your soul, so to speak. It takes you to a higher sense of intellectual clarification, your understanding of the world, ki this could have been me, or this is something that happens when decisions are not taken in the right way. So basically teaching them the hard way that lesson. आप क्योंकि एक सेंस ऑफ जॉय आता है when you see something which मतलब एक this may be a very sadistic thing to say but it is a reality, at least as the way Aristotle puts it, कि when you are seeing something terrible happening to somebody and you know the that it obviously reflects on you, but when you realize that it is not something which exists in reality, तो वो जो emotional state create हुआ है उसके साथ एक reassurance आता है एंड उसके साथ एक ability to act on it भी आता है. So that purification of the soul by the use of negative emotions like fear and pity is the central objective of Aristotelian tragedy, which is catharsis. Now, in order to achieve this catharsis, every tragedy would have some elements to it. So, Aristotle goes into detail about 6 elements. He describes every tragedy as a composition of these 6 elements, and in the order of importance, these are the plot, which is the storyline, okay, which is, you can say, according to Aristotle, even if the rest of the elements are not really that good and the plot is good, it may still be considered as a decently good tragedy. Whilst if it does not have a very good plot. Now, very good plot जो है, again a question may be raised कि how do you define a very good plot? So it is a beyond the scope of this discussion. If you would want to know that, it would be great that you study the text, because he goes into deep levels कि आप how do you create a good plot, how do you create good characters, coming to the other elements, how do you create good characters, और किस तरह description देना होता है characters का, what are the kinds of thoughts that characters ought to have, what are the kinds of thoughts that characters ought not to have. Diction is the same as the ornate language जो हमने already discuss कर लिया. Song is something जो थोड़ा technical है, it's not relevant to us, but it was more of a technical part of playwriting back then. So he goes into detail about that. And finally, spectacle. Spectacle simply means that when you are putting the play on stage, okay, you have a play at hand, okay, you have a script of a play at hand, and then you actually put it on stage. So putting it on stage, actually reciting it, acting it out, जो actor का capability है, जो वो set creation की capability है, जो director की capability है, उससे जो effect create होगा, that would be spectacle. Aristotle acknowledges spectacle as a part of a tragic element, but he considers it as the least important one. It is almost not a part of actually writing a tragedy, because it is not something which a playwright can do. Of course, because you can read a play. Even in the time of Aristotle, you could read a play and derive a sense of pleasure. So while you are writing, and his text poetics was intended for the playwright, not the person who presents the play. So when you are writing, it is not something which is in your own hand. तो स्पेक्टिकल की वैल्यू इसलिए एरिस्टोटल ने इतनी नहीं की. दिस शुड बी नोटेड बिकॉज आगे आर्थर मिलर इसके ऊपर भी अपने ऑल्टरनेटिव व्यूज प्रेजेंट करते हैं. Okay, which we will delve into now. A little about Arthur Miller, because while Aristotle is really well known, Arthur Miller के बारे में इतना कोई जानता नहीं. So very basically speaking, Arthur Miller was an American playwright of the 20th century. He started his career around early mid 20th century and spanned all over the way to around 1990s. 2005 में he left us, and up until that time he had become one of the greatest playwrights of America ever. Okay, and he had a lot of issues, to say the least, with the kind of theater scene that had emerged around his time. Okay, which included modern capitalism की वजह से जिस type of situation हो गई थी थिएटर में, और उसके अलावा जो हमारे पुराने स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ एस्थेटिक जजमेंट थे उनकी वजह से जो हो गई थी, जिनमें से एक एरिस्टोटल की पोएटिक्स एंड एरिस्टोटल की ट्रेजेडी थी। ओके, सो सबसे पहली ही चीज जो हमें ये मिलती है आर्थर मिलर के आउटलुक में, जो ही टॉक्स अबाउट इट अ लॉट इन हिज इंटरव्यूज, इज थिएटर इज एन ओरल आर्ट फॉर्म। ओके, थिएटर में और बाकी लिटरेरी जॉनर में, लाइक अ नॉवल और अ पोएम और एन एपिक पोएम, एक बहुत मेजर डिफरेंस ये है कि दे आर प्राइमरीली रिटन टू बी रेड। अ प्ले इज प्राइमरीली रिटन टू बी वॉच्ड। सो आप कितना भी कर लें, देर इज सम एलिमेंट ऑफ दैट विजुअल जो उस प्ले को कंसिडरेबली चेंज करता है। हमें यही दिख जाता है देर इज अ मेजर डिफरेंस इन अप्रोच अबाउट द प्ले बिटवीन मिलर एंड एरिस्टोटल। ओके, Miller says that a play exists at the interface, at the point of transaction between the playwright and the audience. Okay, a lot of it goes into actually viewing and listening the play rather than just going through the script, which is why he considers it as an oral art form, and a lot of his subsequent theories are based on that. Okay, now again he was worried about the falling standards of theater. We have discussed that he was not very happy with the state of affairs that was happening, because a lot of very repetitive ideas had come in place. बहुत ज़्यादा commercialize हो गया था theater and all that, and of course tragedy almost extinct हो चुकी थी from the theater scene, which prompted Miller to write a tragedy, which prompted Miller to talk about tragedy in a newer form, giving it a newer form more suitable for our own times and his own views. Okay, which was that he viewed art as an instrument of social change. uh, Aristotle also does that, but Aristotle के case में it is more indirect. Okay, he believes that you can actually invoke a sense of fear and pity among people, which would lead to a purification of their soul, which would lead to a better society. Miller, on the other hand, believes in a kind of a direct action. He wants to talk about the issues directly. He wants to make people understand the problems directly. Okay. And in order to do that, he wrote several plays, including All My Children, The Crucibles, and his magnum opus, Death of a Salesman. Death of a Salesman is, to Arthur Miller, kind of what Oedipus Rex was to Aristotle. Death of a Salesman is a play जो आने के साथ ही literally shook the theater scene in modern America. New York Reporter actually called it one of the most radically charged plays of modern American theater, enough to make a grown man weep and think, as they said. So, इसमें he is essentially reinventing a genre of tragedy, and while he does that, he also writes about it in his rather smallish essay, Tragedy and the Common Man. Tragedy and the Common Man में he goes into detail about the theoretical part of it. Death of a Salesman exists as a practical application of those ideas. Okay. While in the death of a in Tragedy and a Common Man, he goes into actually describing a rationale for his decision and for his changes in the ideals set out in Aristotelian theater. Okay, so the major difference that takes place between the death of a salesman and, say for example, Oedipus Rex is the kind of character जो एक ट्रेजेडी में फीचर करता है. ओके, एज एरिस्टोटल हैड सेड कि इसके अंदर जो इमिटेशन है, इट इज लार्जर देन लाइफ एंड इट इन्वॉल्व्स people of greater social status or people of nobler blood or people of no even noble values, and this used to be the norm up until around his own time. The last major tragedies, even before Miller's time, that we find, the most significant ones would be those of, say, Shakespeare. they strictly adhere to this standard of Aristotelian theater, that a tragedy may you should have a higher social order being presented, okay, and not that of the common folk. Miller, due to his socialist leanings and because of his democratic upbringings as an American citizen, he did not ever live in a society जहाँ पे there was actually a nobility and there were the common folk. He disagrees, and he wants to write a tragedy, and he wants to make the genre of tragedy accessible to the common man, in the sense that the common man finds itself in it. कॉमन आदमी जो मिलर के टाइम के थे were very much a subject of a tragic story, is the central crux of him writing the play Death of a Salesman, as well as writing this essay Tragedy on a Common Man. So he begins by talking about the state of tragedy. Okay, he laments the fact कि आजकल बहुत सारी tragedies लिखी जा नहीं रही हैं. Okay, a lot of people are shifting away from tragedies, and there has not been any major tragedy written by any contemporary playwright of his own time. Okay, and it is a lament that is not new. Before him, Friedrich Nietzsche had also made a similar kind of remark in his first published text, The Birth of Tragedy, although it was more ironically saying dramatic, because he goes into very much detail कि how जो tragic values थी, जो मतलब the values that were in the Greek people which actually led to the development of tragedy were eventually purged, and which led to a very terrible death of tragedy as a genre. And he goes into very much detail कि how it happens, why it happens, what are the consequences of that, and how it can be um, re-established, or how, what we can learn from it. For Miller, it is more like stating a general fact कि ट्रेजेडी इज समथिंग जो अब खत्म हो चुकी है काफी हद तक, बट ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए, बिकॉज ट्रेजेडी का जो फंडामेंटल स्ट्रक्चर है वो आर्केक नहीं है, सिंपली बिकॉज उसको लिखा नहीं जा रहा है, इट अपियर्स सो. ओके, तो ही इज सेइंग कि ट्रेजेडी आज के टाइम पे भी अप्लाई होती है, ब्रिंग्स द क्वेश्चन कि आज का ट्रेजिक हीरो कौन होगा. मिलर का सिंपल आंसर है कि आज का जो ट्रेजिक हीरो है वो आज का कॉमन मैन होगा. अब वह ऐसा कैसे होगा, उसके लिए मिलर गिव्स अ नंबर ऑफ आर्गुमेंट्स, ऑल ऑफ हूम आर रिटन राइट इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू. उसका जो पहला आर्गुमेंट है, सबसे सिंपल आर्गुमेंट है, इज हिज आर्गुमेंट फ्रॉम द व्यू ऑफ मॉडर्न साइकाइट्री. आप देखते हैं कि जो मेंटल मेकअप है ऑफ अ कॉमन मैन एंड समबडी हु वाज बोर्न इन द नोबिलिटी वाज वेरी मच द सेम. तो जो सेम मेंटल प्रोसेसेस उसके दिमाग में हो रही हैं किसी नोबल के, जो सेम सफरिंग उसके लिए एग्जिस्ट कर रही है, जो सेम फियर ऑफ पिटी, फियर एंड पिटी जो हम लोग के लिए उसके लिए इवोक होगी, वही कॉमन मैन के लिए भी होगी. देयर इज प्रैक्टिकली नो डिफरेंस बिटवीन देम फिजिकली एंड मेंटली. So there is not really any reason why the nobleman only should be featuring in a tragedy. Okay. However, this was not enough for Miller, because ये बहुत kind of bland argument था. He wanted to make a more urgent case for it. This is कि हाँ भाई ऐसा भी हो सकता है. You can include people who are the common general masses of the country, but it does not have any sense of urgency. He said कि नहीं, we need to include the common man in our tragedies. Okay, जिसके लिए वो आगे के आर्ग्यूमेंट्स देते हैं कि how did common man even begin to cherish tragedy then? Because even while Aristotle was writing about his poetics, and Aristotle के time की tragedies were being written which included only the people from a higher social status, plays तो सभी देख रहे थे. The common man was viewing it, the nobility were viewing it. It does not mean कि they cannot cherish it, they cannot relate to it, they cannot enjoy it. So it is kind of an extension to that of the modern psychiatry वाला argument, because what he is saying is कि जो effect है वो दोनों पे सेम क्रिएट हो रहा है. बोथ ऑफ देम आर एबल टू इक्वली चेरिश इट, बोथ ऑफ देम आर इक्वली एबल टू रिलेट टू इट. सो इट इज नॉट द rank of the individual but something else. Okay, and वो something else क्या है उसमें? when Miller goes, so he discovers that tragedy in its essence is an individual's fight for his own dignity. Dignity क्या है? Dignity is his realization, his own evaluation of himself कि I am of a certain worth and I am not being treated the way I ought to be. So his fight of being recognized for himself, okay, he being given what he merits or she being given what she merits, is actually what is the central focus of tragedy instead of nobility and all. एंड ये थियरी ज्यादा वाइड है, ज्यादा व्यापक है, बिकॉज while it explains modern tragedy या फिर his own arguments for creating a modern tragedy, it also covers the ancient tragedies. आप Oedipus Rex देखेंगे, I'm not going to discuss about it because I would not want to give anyone any spoilers, but अगर आप Oedipus Rex देखेंगे तो it is his own fight to find out the truth and his own fight to put himself in a state that he feels is what he actually deserves. आप शेक्सपियरियन ट्रेजेडीज देखेंगे जैसे कि रोमियो एंड जूलियट, देन देयर फाइट फॉर लव इज बेसिकली द फाइट फॉर व्हाट दे डिजर्व इन लाइफ. सो एंड द सेम इज द केस ऑफ डेथ ऑफ अ सेल्समैन. डेथ ऑफ अ सेल्समैन में ये डिग्निटी का कॉन्सेप्ट जो है वो उठाया जाता है वेरी फ्रीक्वेंटली. The central character talks about dignity almost all the time. And जब कोई आदमी अपनी डिग्निटी रियलाइज करे तो ही वुड बी prompted to act upon it. Either of the two things can happen. Either he would be prompted to act upon it or he would not be, which would basically mean कि he accepts his fate as a passive receptor of the world. And this is what Miller calls the vast majority, most of us, including himself, as he says, the people who are not actually going to fight for what they merit in the world. However, the person who actually features in a tragic story would be the one who fights for it, would be the one who actually goes out in the world, makes an action. तो जो रिटेलिएशन है वो उसके ट्रैजिक फ्लॉ को क्रिएट करता है. ट्रैजिक फ्लॉ का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, आई डिड नॉट ब्रिंग इट अप इन द एरिस्टोटल वाला पॉइंट बिकॉज उसके लिए वी वुड हैव टू गो थ्रू अ लॉट ऑफ discourse about the individual's character. But basically speaking, tragic flaw for Aristotle is basically knowing something or being any basically any feature of any individual that leads to his downfall in a tragedy. Because tragedy का एक common element तो ये है ही that it is not going to have a happy ending, which is why it is known as a tragedy. It is taken as a given. आर्थर मिलर के लिए deriving a more general, a more scientific rationale, so to speak, about tragedy, he would call that tragic flaw not as a feature of an individual but as an action, his retaliation against the challenge that the world has put, his own fight for his dignity, his intention to fight, his actions would be his tragic flaw. And अगर हम इसको देखें तो जो इंडिविजुअल की रैंक है कि वो नोबिलिटी से है या ही इज फ्रॉम अ लोली बैकग्राउंड, दैट वुड नॉट रियली मैटर. ओके, सो बिकॉज वो ट्रैजिक फीलिंग जो है वो उसके अंदर भी उतनी इवोक होगी, उसको देखते हुए हमें भी इतनी इवोक होगी, बिकॉज वी वुड स्टिल बी एबल टू रिकॉग्नाइज दैट दिस वाज अ पर्सन हु वाज फाइटिंग फॉर समथिंग ही डिजर्व्ड एंड ही डिड नॉट गेट इट. And that is common amongst all social classes, and therefore there is no real reason why you would not include the common man in a modern tragedy. Okay, so अगर tragic flaw is retaliation against the challenge. And tragedy by definition means that the person is not going to get what he deserves. तो जो फेलियर उस इंडिविजुअल का होगा, that would not be the fault of that individual, as Aristotle not says but kind of implies. Because when he says that it is a feature of an individual to have something that leads to his downfall, तो वो जो फिंगर है ब्लेम की, वो उस इंडिविजुअल की तरफ पॉइंट आउट हो जाती है ना चाहते हुए भी. मिलर के वर्ल्ड व्यू में ऑन द अदर हैंड वी विल फाइंड कि द blame finger is almost always steadily pointed against the world. Romeo and Juliet में it is not because of their own faults, मतलब kind of because of their own faults, but जो मॉडल मिलर प्रपोज करता है उसके अकॉर्डिंग it is not because of their own follies that they suffered, it is because the world that does not want to see them together. Same is the case with Oedipus. Same is the case with the main character Willy Loman in Death of a Salesman. Okay, so he talks about putting not blame but putting the uh, burden of responsibility upon the character, upon the world in which the character lives. अब इससे एक मेजर डेरिवेशन ये आती है कि ट्रेजेडी इज नॉट पेसिमिज्म. ट्रेजेडी को रिजेक्ट करने का परहैप्स एक रीजन ये भी था, और उसके रिजेक्ट होने की वजह से कॉन्सिक्वेंस भी ये था कि ट्रेजेडी हैज कम टू बी रिगार्डेड एज समथिंग विच इज पेसिमिस्टिक इन नेचर. कि okay, Romeo and Juliet wanted to live together but they died, it is so sad. Willy Loman wanted to fight for his dignity but he died. So basically it is painting a very bleak picture of the world. Arthur Miller disagrees. He talks about how tragedy entices us to fight further, to keep that struggle alive. And in his own time, that struggle was the primary prerogative, I should say, of the common folk. Therefore, Miller says कि it is more urgent and more pressing to write about tragedies. First off, because it is not something which is पुराने जमाने का, it is not something which is archaic. Second of all, it is not something which is pessimistic. And third, that it is not something which is only of the rich and the powerful and the noble and the royal blood. It is something that is of the common man. This is the whole idea that Miller talks about in the 2.5 pages of Tragedy of the Common Man, and in the 2 or 2.5 hours of Death of a Salesman. Now I think I heard a question dropping in the chat box. So अगर ऐसा है तो हिमांशु.
Ayush, sorry, Vishwas, Astha and Ram are there. So
Okay.
that was some link, I think, movies linked by Gautam in the chat box. Yes, Astha, please go on.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask the tragic flaw that you talk about, is it that they are the tragic flaw of the character is that they are going against the system? Is that the only tragic flaw that they are in a sense a rebel like Romeo and Juliet perhaps were? Or the tragic flaw is something else that is not intentionally against the system, but it is kind of.
I would lean more towards the second explanation, because while the first one is also true, the second one is more explanatory. Because सेकेंड डेफिनेशन के एम्बिट में फर्स्ट वाला ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाता है. देयर स्ट्रगल टू प्रिजर्व देयर डिग्निटी मीन्स दैट दे वुड फाइट फॉर देयर डिग्निटी, एंड देयरफॉर वो चीज जो उनकी डिग्निटी के अगेंस्ट है, दे वुड रीजनेबली फाइट अगेंस्ट दैट. सो ट्रैजिक फ्लॉ, फ्लॉ का मीनिंग नेगेटिव कॉनोटेशन में नहीं लिया जाना चाहिए. यहाँ पे फ्लॉ मीन्स जो पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है जिससे ये स्टोरी ड्राइव हो रही है. ओके, सो जो इनफैक्ट बिकॉज आर्थर मिलर एक्चुअली प्रेजेस individuals for having the tragic flaw, it is an argument can be made that the tragic flaw is something that Miller and maybe even other playwrights and dramatists who wrote tragedies, they regarded it as something of great value for the human beings. So fighting for your a just place for your own self or maybe even somebody who you value, like Romeo and Juliet also valued each other, which was a major driving force in that play. या फिर डेथ ऑफ अ सेल्समैन में विली लोमन फाइटिंग फॉर हिज ओन फैमिली along with himself and his disappointment when his family is not treated the right way. So he is basically fighting for justice, and if the system goes against justice, he would be fighting against the system.
Okay, so the tragic flaw here is that they chose to fight basically.
Yes, basically
Okay.
they chose to be in conflict with something that is a more powerful force than them, which leads to their downfall.
Okay. Thanks.
Uh,
Thanks.
yeah, I have a couple of questions. Can we say that what made the flaw in the system that made them that led them to a towards downfall is a tragic flaw? Like, as
um,
in, if the acceptance of Romeo and Juliet wanting each other, and the inacceptance by the society led them to downfall, can we point out towards the world saying that the inacceptance is the tragic flaw in the play?
हाँ मतलब we can say that because specifically Romeo and Juliet के केस में it would be the inacceptance, but अगर जैसे if we talk about a play like Death of a Salesman, तो उसमें या फिर in a play like Julius Caesar, अगर हम विलियम शेक्सपियर पे वापस आए, because I am trying not to talk about Death of a Salesman because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. Julius Caesar के केस में it is not about in acceptance of Julius Caesar. It is about people wanting their own power. And Julius Caesar की फाइट या फिर Julius Caesar के अलावा Brutus जो था उसकी फाइट for something that he believed that he wishes in this world, उसमें जो ब्लेम का फिंगर है, बिकॉज हमने पिछली साइड में यहाँ पे ये बात की है, ट्रैजिक डिस्ट्रक्शन पुट्स ब्लेम ऑन द आउटर वर्ल्ड.
Yeah.
ओके तो जो burden of responsibility है that inevitably falls upon the outer world. This was something which was very new that Miller had introduced, because before him जो tragedies लिखी जा रही थी उनमें जो tragic flaw था was
Internal
something
to
that,
the characters.
yes, it was inbuilt to the character and it was actually what the writer wanted to highlight. जैसे if you find जूलियस सीजर के सॉरी शेक्सपियर के केस में यू विल फाइंड दैट शेक्सपियर के ऑलमोस्ट जितने भी ट्रैजिक कैरेक्टर्स हैं, फ्रॉम ब्रूटस टू रोमियो एंड जूलियट टू क्लियोपैट्रा टू एंटनी, जितने भी मेजर ट्रैजिक कैरेक्टर्स हैं, हैमलेट, मैकबेथ, उनमें एक कॉमन प्रॉब्लम है विच इज द रिकरिंग थीम दैट दे डोंट give a second thought to what they are thinking. They do not employ a second thought. Okay, they just take rapid actions, they overthink, and it is something which Shakespeare ke plays ke according we can assume that it was something that Shakespeare regarded as something which is not good, therefore he wishes to stop people from doing that. So while when he writes the play Romeo and Juliet, he is the first one to actually put the blame on the society as well, because Julius Caesar की story as we have described की poetry is an imitation for these people. तो आर्थर मिलर ने जब ये प्ले लिखा तो इट वाज प्योरली आउट ऑफ हिज इमेजिनेशन, लेकिन एरिस्टोटल जब प्ले लिखता, सॉरी एरिस्टोटल के टाइम में जब प्ले लिखे जाते हैं या शेक्सपियर के टाइम में जब प्ले लिखे जाते हैं तो दे आर बेस्ड ऑन एक्चुअल लेजेंड्स. रोमियो एंड जूलियट की जो एक्चुअल स्टोरी है उसके 3 से 4 वर्जन और भी अवेलेबल है. ओरिजिनल इटालियन अवेलेबल है जहां जिस सिटी में ये एग्जिस्ट करते थे, वेरोना. उससे पहले शेक्सपियर से लिखी गई, शेक्सपियर से पहले 200 साल करीब तक पहले लिखी गई एक पोएम एग्जिस्ट करती है अबाउट द ट्रेजेडी ऑफ रोमियो एंड जूलियट, एंड उन सब में इट इज समथिंग लाइक द वर्ल्ड डिड नथिंग रॉन्ग इन separating those two. Okay, the blame is almost entirely put on Romeo and Juliet. It was Shakespeare who for the first time wants you, while he says ki dekho they did something wrong in the sense that they overthink their decisions, they did not act wisely, they did not act reservedly, but he also wants you to feel bad for them, he wants you to take their side also. तो वो एक मेजर डिफरेंस शेक्सपियर ने भी इंट्रोड्यूस किया था, बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स इट वाज एन एवोल्यूशनरी प्रोसेस, बट उसको एक थियरी के फॉर्म में फॉर्मुलाइज करना वाज समथिंग जो मिलर ने पहली बार किया था.
So one of the things like I get in mind that I'm wondering about is when you're looking at this place, right, what impact it has on you. Probably in the times pre-Miller, it has largely about how your behavior, as in how do you need to compose your behavior. But when by the time that Miller comes, it's, as you have written, it's a lot about challenging the society and calling them towards action, towards change. Or do you think that the theme of calling action towards change, or in some sense creating a revolution, existed even pre-Miller in terms of looking at tragedies?
प्री मिलर ट्रेजेडीज जो हैं, बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स एज वी सेड कि नीचे ऑल्सो लेमेंट्स अबाउट इट, एंड शेक्सपियर के बाद वी डोंट फाइंड एटलीस्ट इंग्लिश में, बिकॉज आई डोंट नो अबाउट एनी अदर लिटरेरी ट्रेडिशंस जिसमें ड्रामा के फॉर्म में ट्रेजेडी एटलीस्ट एग्जिस्ट करती थी, बिकॉज आफ्टर दैट टाइम, आफ्टर द कमिंग ऑफ प्रिंटिंग प्रेस, नॉवेल्स वाज समथिंग व्हिच वाज अ न्यू इनोवेशन. तो ट्रेजेडीज पर से बहुत ज्यादा कम हो गई थी. बट व्हाट यू आर सेइंग, मतलब जो आपकी ऑब्जर्वेशन है, आई डिड नॉट रियली कंसिडर इट, बट नाउ दैट आई थिंक ऑफ इट, इट सीम्स वेरी रीजनेबल. आई वुड थिंक दैट इट एक्चुअली मेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस कि जिस तरह से मिलर ने जो डायनामिक चेंज किया ट्रेजेडी का, was largely calling them for a change, and it was something that was not even endemic to Miller, because Miller was not the only one जिसने ड्रामा के उनको क्वेश्चन किया था. We were going to talk about it later, but बहुत और भी लोग थे जिन्होंने और चेंजेस इंट्रोड्यूस किए थे, या फिर जिन्होंने और ऑब्जेक्शंस रेज किए थे एरिस्टोटेलियन आइडियाज के खिलाफ. एरिस्टोटेलियन, या फिर मतलब आई एम यूजिंग द टर्म एरिस्टोटेलियन नॉट रेफरिंग ओनली टू व्हाट एरिस्टोटल सेड, बट एरिस्टोटेलियन बेसिस के ऊपर जो लिटरेरी स्टैंडर्ड्स डेवलप किए गए थे उनके जनरल आउटलुक के अगेंस्ट में. जैसे कि देयर वाज another poet and playwright who was a contemporary of Miller, but he was a German playwright, Bertolt Brecht. Okay, he was against the idea of catharsis. जैसा कि हमने डिस्कस किया, Miller wants a catharsis to exist in his play. Okay, and उसके प्ले में catharsis exist करता है. We cannot describe it, but we can feel when it happens. ऑन दी अदर हैंड, ब्रेक्ट बिलीव्ड कि अगर आप एक इस टाइप का रेजोल्यूशन दे देंगे किसी प्ले राइट को, क्या सॉरी किसी ऑडियंस को आप इस टाइप का रेजोल्यूशन दे देंगे ऑफ इमोशंस, सो दे वुड बी इंक्लाइंड टुवर्ड्स पैसिविटी. ओके, एरिस्टोटल के आइडियाज आइडियलिस्टिक बहुत है इन द सेंस कि हाँ, उससे उनका कैरेक्टर चेंज होगा एंड देन दे वुड डू समथिंग गुड फॉर द वर्ल्ड. बट ब्रेक्ट ऑन दी अदर हैंड वांट्स समथिंग मोर इमीडिएट टू हैपन, जस्ट लाइक मिलर. So what he believes is कि we should never resolve our emotions in tragedy. तो ब्रेक्ट उस टाइम पे जो ट्रेजेडीज लिखते हैं, ब्रेक्ट उस टाइम पे इन जनरल जो प्लेज लिखते हैं, उसमें you do not find any resolution of emotions, okay, which is a very important part of Aristotelian tragedy. And he believes कि अगर आप ऐसे मिड पे लाके छोड़ दें, okay, लोगों को इमोशनल टेंशन की हाइट पे लाके छोड़ दें, then they would have to resolve those emotions on their own, and they would not have any other way to do it other than actually going out in the world and fighting, going out in the world and working for that justice. So in that way, Brecht also challenges his Aristotelian ideas, and he is similar to Miller in the regards कि he wants a more urgent need to be met. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So should I move on, Himanshu?
Astha is also there. So yes, Astha.
Okay.
I was just I just wanted to add something to it. जैसे आपने बोला कि Miller is kind of putting the tragic flaw against the society, and Aristotle is doing the opposite.
Yes.
Can it be because in the early European society was kind of a collectivist society, and America is a more individualist society, if we can say? तो मिलर जो कर रहा है वो सोसाइटी को ब्लेम कर रहा है बिकॉज ही इज टेकिंग individual का side because America is kind of an individualistic society, तो he is challenging the system. But क्योंकि because मतलब
No, no.
they are both
I
trying
want to
to
say
find their
something on this.
harmony in that sense.
Uh, Seeing ancient society as collectivistic and maybe modern American as individualistic will be a very naive understanding, because we
Agreed.
can't say that what the
Okay.
case was. The individual always had been the focus of care in Greek society too. It's not the
Yes,
case.
ancient Greek society may, which is why the idea of democracy actually was something that took roots there, is कि Greek society में and Roman society में individual was valued. Okay,
Yes.
the individuality was valued, but yes, your attempt at associating that change of attitude to a change in society is there. Halaki, it is a more direct one because when he's putting the blame on the world, it is because he wants the individual to fight against the world. Okay, he is seeing evil in the world. Miller is seeing evil in the world, and therefore he wants people to pick up their arms and fight against the system. Okay, it may not be a part of his tragedy exclusively, but his aim is to make people fight for their freedom against a system. Okay, Aristotle,
Got
on
it.
the other hand, did not face that kind of rage against the system. He wanted people to change as individuals. He wanted people to grow as individuals, which is why उसके लिए ये important था that people reflect on themselves. मिलर के लिए ये important था that people reflect on the society.
Okay.
Okay.
I just quickly wanted to add one point to this, that probably Miller का जो transformation होता है, it could have also been because of Karl Marx and the influence of
Yes, of
um,
course, of
going
course.
against society, because he's a socialist, right?
Yes, Miller
So
was in fact arrested and
yeah,
put under trial for
an
suspected
American
communist activities.
an American
Yes,
Activities Act. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Exactly. That is actually one of the primary reasons.
Yes,
Okay.
Vishwas, just complete it. Then we will take more questions.
Okay, okay. That's not a lot left actually अभी.
Okay.
So first off, अगर हमें इनका comparison करना है between the tragic hero that Miller wanted to introduce and the tragic hero that Aristotle had already established, we need to compare them both in terms of their similarity as well as their differences, because still need something to यू नो पिन पॉइंट कि हाँ भाई इट इज स्टिल ट्रेजेडी. आपने चेंज करते करते इसको इतना नहीं कर दिया दैट इज नॉट ट्रेजेडी. तो सिमिलैरिटीज क्या है दोनों में? उसमें सबसे पहला है कि बोथ एरिस्टोटल एज वेल एज मिलर वांट टू राइट फॉर अ पर्पस. दे want something greater to be achieved by their writing than just their writing. Okay, and while at the same time, अगेन ये एक बहुत बड़ा डिबेट है जो स्पेशली इन द फिलोसफी ऑफ एस्थेटिक्स चलता है एंड लिटरेचर में इन जनरल चलता है, एंड 20th सेंचुरी में इट रोज टू हाइट्स. अभी भी ये डिबेट उतना एक्सट्रीम नहीं है जितना 20th सेंचुरी में या फिर लेट 18th सेंचुरी में एग्जिस्ट करता था कि आर्ट का पर्पस ओनली एस्थेटिक प्लेजर है या फिर एक सोशल चेंज या फिर पीपल राइटिंग फॉर अ पर्पस. तो ये जो डिबेट है इसमें दोनों में कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है. बोथ ऑफ देम बिलीव दैट बोथ ऑफ देम आर इंपॉर्टेंट. बोथ ऑफ देम एज इन एरिस्टोटल एंड मिलर बिलीव दैट बोथ द पर्पस दैट यू आर राइटिंग and the aesthetic quality of what you are writing is important, and that is something I believe is the biggest takeaway from both of them, because आज के टाइम में this debate has been so much polarized that it is almost as if जो पर्पस है एंड जो एस्थेटिक प्लेजर है दे आर एंटागोनिस्टिकल टू ईच अदर. ऐसा वर्ल्ड व्यू ऑलमोस्ट क्रिएट हो चुका है. यू नो when you I'll be making a value judgment here, but I would like that leave because if we discuss it and इससे कोई philosophical implications निकले नहीं तो एक philosophy group में इस चीज को डिस्कस करने का कोई पॉइंट नहीं होगा. जो एस्थेटिक एलिमेंट है उसकी वैल्यू क्या है, उसको सिर्फ ब्यूटी के स्टैंडर्ड्स पे आंकना या फिर उसको सिर्फ उसके कोई पर्पस फुलफिल होने से आंकना वुड बी naive and it would be divisive. So it has been like that for any great artist that they do not reject either of those. Matlab, there are people who are good artists, but except one of them, like Oscar Wilde is an artist who almost vehemently takes the side of art writing for pleasure and writing for the aesthetic quality of it, not for the purpose, but he is still a great artist. What I'm trying to say is a person, an artist who keeps both of these ideas in mind. You are writing to achieve a greater purpose as well as to create a thing of beauty. That right artist is almost bound not to fail in his desire, both aesthetically as well as in terms of a purpose. Okay. The third thing that is common between both of them is, of course, what defines tragedy in its own self. Ki there is a sticky end to the characters. Okay, the characters almost always die. Okay, or almost always are in a situation where they are not able to do anything anymore. Matlab, sort of like Charles Dickens, Munshi Premchand kind of an ending they have. But usually, not always, usually tragedies may the main character dies. The main character dies in Oedipus Rex, the main character dies in Romeo and Juliet, the main character dies, as the name suggests, in Death of a Salesman. The final thing, the next thing is an element of universality. Okay. जैसा कि हमने ऑलरेडी उसके प्लेटो के टेक्स्ट में हमने पढ़ा दैट हिस्ट्री एम्स एट द पर्टिकुलर, राइटिंग पोएट्री एम्स एट द यूनिवर्सल. तो यूनिवर्सैलिटी इज ऑफ टू काइंड्स. फर्स्ट ऑफ, यू आर portraying the universal. Okay, when you are talking about the character Willy Loman in Death of a Salesman, it is not talking about that one individual. It also takes into account anybody who sees a Willy Loman in himself, or who sees a Willy Loman on the street, or who knows that there exist thousands of Willy Loman around, even his own neighborhood. वैसे ही when you see Romeo and Juliet, it is not only about Romeo and Juliet as two historical characters. It is about a lot of Romeo and Juliets that exist around in the world. तो एक वो एंगल हो गया यूनिवर्सलिटी का. एक और एंगल जो यूनिवर्सलिटी का है इज कि ये प्ले लिखा किसके लिए जा रहा है. ओके, हिस्ट्री मतलब इट माइट बी अ नैरो थिंग टू से if not interpreted properly, but I would like to say ki history is something which is not for the common man directly in the sense that there is no point of studying history for the common man unless he is in pursuit of a intellectual discovery. Okay, while on the other hand, for almost everyone, whether intellectual or a common man or anything else in between, literature, arts, drama is directly accessible, and it is something that was believed and agreed upon both by Miller as well as Aristotle. And finally, the use of catharsis is the use of that emotion of fear and pity to evoke um, a sense of injustice in the world, to make people want to change the world in case of Miller, and to invoke a sense of reflection in himself or herself, and to make the individual work upon himself or herself in case of Aristotle. Catharsis is there. Okay, there is a resolution, there is a feeling of calm that you would feel that uh, would make you act upon something, जो somebody like Brecht के plays में आपको नहीं मिलेगी. ओके, ये तो सिमिलैरिटीज हो गई इनकी. अब आते हैं डिफरेंसेस, विच ऑफ कोर्स आर मोर. तो सबसे ऑब्वियस है द स्टेटस ऑफ ट्रेजिक हीरो. सोसाइटली द जो ट्रेजिक हीरो एरिस्टोटल का है, he or she would be somebody of a greater social status. Okay, it would be somebody who is rich and who is powerful and who is more important for the society's structure. Not important as in important in terms of value, but in terms of structure जो society के लिए important है. मिलर का ट्रैजिक हीरो ऑन द अदर हैंड वुड बी द कॉमन मैन. ही वुड से कि ट्रैजिक हीरो जो है, while it is not only कि it can be a common man, but that it should be a common man at least in our times. दूसरा डिफरेंस जो है वो है इवोकिंग द ट्रैजिक फीलिंग. एरिस्टोटल के लिए जो ट्रैजिक फीलिंग इवोक होती है वो एक सेल्फ के रिफ्लेक्शन के लिए इवोक होती है. ओके, ही इट makes people wonder about the nature of individual, not if not about one's own self, which is also a possibility, but at least invoking the tragic flaw of the individual, while Miller wants to take it to a social level. ओके, अब एक चीज जो आई थिंक बाद में डिस्कस की जाए तो ज्यादा ठीक है, इसीलिए आई हैव पुट इट इन द एंड. पेरिपेटाया. पेरिपेटाया इज द ग्रीक वर्ड विच मींस recognition, sorry, reversal. Reversal and recognition are the two ways जिससे Aristotle believes कि a great tragic feeling comes about. This was the detail that I was talking about, that we were going to talk about later. कि जो ट्रैजिक फीलिंग आती है वो आती कहां से है, वो क्या एक्शन ऐसा होता है जिससे वो ट्रैजिक फीलिंग आती है. तो उसके लिए एरिस्टोटल ने दो वेज बताए थे. एक जो है वो है recognition, like a person who is about to do something or who is doing something and he or she gets to know something else. Okay, they realize something. जैसे रोमियो एंड जूलियट में when Romeo reaches to Juliet's grave to wake her up and he realizes that Juliet is not just playing dead, she is actually dead. तो वो जो चेंज है, वो जो recognition है, that is what evokes the tragic feeling. And the other thing which is peripeteia or reversal is the reversal of situation. Somebody who was going to be Julius Caesar or Brutus. Julius Caesar was the king, almost de facto king of Rome. Okay, Brutus wanted to bring about change in Rome. He wanted to make Rome a more just place. But दोनों के साथ ही क्या होता है, they meet a different end. Hamlet में same happens. Macbeth में he wants to avenge his father's death, but क्या होता है, he himself ends up dying in that process. तो जो reversal of situation है वो Aristotelian tragedy का एक बहुत major part है. Okay, somebody who was high and he falls low, which is why Aristotle proposes कि it should be a person who is of a higher social order, because अगर कोई आदमी बहुत high social order पे है and वो fall करता है तो it would evoke a sense of wonderment for people कि हाँ भाई इसके साथ भी ऐसा होना possible है. Okay, it is greater when somebody of a higher social order falls than somebody of a lower social order. बट मिलर जो है वो इस फॉलिंग को रिकॉग्नाइज ही नहीं करता एज रेलेवेंट और इंपॉर्टेंट. तो इफ वी थिंक अबाउट इट, तो जो अगर हम एक आर्क बनाएंगे कैरेक्टर का ऑफ राइज 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 एंड देन फॉल, वो एरिस्टोटेलियन ट्रेजेडी के केस में बनेगा. लेकिन मिलर के केस में ऐसा रिवर्सल पॉसिबल ही नहीं हो पाएगा, बिकॉज दैट पर्सन इज ओनली फाइटिंग फॉर हिमसेल्फ एंड लूजिंग द बैटल टू अ पॉइंट व्हेन ही इवेंचुअली लूजेस इट. सो जो एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट है एरिस्टोटल के लिए टू इन्वोक अ ट्रेजेडी विच इज द रिवर्सल ऑफ सिचुएशंस इज नॉट पॉसिबल, एटलीस्ट directly in that form as Aristotle had proposed in case of Miller's tragedy. The other difference is the use of language. Now this is something जैसा हमने उस टाइम पे भी डिस्कस किया कि it is not something which happens directly but as a consequence of it. If you include people of a higher social order, you are bound to include a language which belongs to that higher social order. But अगर आप कॉमन मैन को ट्रेजेडी का पार्ट बनाते हैं, ट्रेजेडी का क्रक्स बनाते हैं, तो यू कैन नॉट मेक दैट कॉमन मैन स्पीक एन ऑर्डिनेट लैंग्वेज. दैट वुड नॉट मेक एनी सेंस. आप उस कॉमन मैन को उस कॉमन मैन की ही लैंग्वेज बुलवाओगे. which is why एक difference आ जाता है between the kind of language that can be used in an Aristotelian tragedy or the tragedy as defined by Miller. Because if you read The Death of a Salesman, they'll be talking in the most common brutal New Yorker accent that used to be prevalent around his time. जो people who are struggling to keep, because language is a very dynamic thing. We like to think of, say for example, Hindi exists as a language. So we like to think of Hindi as one solid block. बट हिंदी मैक्स टू मैक्स व्हाट वी वुड अज्यूम इज कि रीजन्स के साथ चेंज हो रही है, बट रीजन्स के साथ साथ इट चेंजेस अमंग पीपल in the same place as well. Okay, when you go to some person who is barely there to make a living and he also speaks Hindi in the same region, he would be speaking a different kind of Hindi than somebody who is living a rather lavish lifestyle. तो वो चेंज ऑफ लैंग्वेज जो है वो नेचुरली उस स्क्रिप्ट पे रिफ्लेक्ट करेगा. नाउ डिफरेंस इन द वैल्यू ऑफ स्पेक्टिकल.
Ayush,
Yes.
just I want to add something. This
Okay.
It's
Okay.
in this respect of dynamic language. See, when I say you are a boy, so this you becomes I for you. This is instant change. It language change means what I want to say. This how this you becomes I and I becomes you. This is the understanding of I language. And in this
Yes.
sense language is means in particularly in also have philosophy of language, and especially Abhinav Gupta and many other philosophers talks about it. So they says that there are many levels of language, and there is a very subtle level of language which is for which they have a technical name, para vak. Bhartrihari also talks about it, but the
Okay.
but the but the focus is on the idea that language is means the words we uses are different manifestation of language. There is a
Yes.
inherent capacity, or what you say, uh, verbality in us. Means we
Yes.
can't think without words.
Yes.
Bhartrihari,
Yes. हाँ,
this
तो
is
इट इज समथिंग विच इज प्राइमरीली डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम द कॉन्टेक्स्ट. द ये मेरी इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ व्हाट यू आर ट्राइंग टू से कि लैंग्वेज इज अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ इट्स ओन कॉन्टेक्स्ट. दैट इज व्हाट दे आर
yes,
ट्राइंग टू से, राइट?
of course, yes.
Yeah, so यही चीज है कि when a person is in a context which is in a situation of more power or more economic luxury, तो वहां की जो लैंग्वेज होगी वुड बी डेफिनेटली डिफरेंट
हाँ,
देन दैट ऑफ अ कॉमन मैन. तो वो चीज एक अच्छी ट्रेजेडी में रिफ्लेक्ट करेगी, बिकॉज यू कैन नॉट मेक समबडी who is excessively poor, who is trying to make a living, speak a language that is what I can say the hallmark of a rich individual. ओके, सो अगला होगा. अब आगे के जो चेंजेस हैं, हमने ये जो चेंजेस देखे, ये दीज वर अ डायरेक्ट कॉन्सिक्वेंस ऑफ चेंजिंग द स्टेटस ऑफ द ट्रैजिक हीरो. उसके अलावा भी चेंजेस जो मिलर और एरिस्टोटेलियन ट्रेजेडी में आते हैं उनको भी डिस्कस करा जाए, तो सबसे पहला जो सबसे मेजर चेंज होगा, इट वुड बी द चेंज इन द वैल्यू ऑफ स्पेक्टिकल. Aristotle talks about how the staging of a play should not affect the aesthetic value that would have been otherwise derived from reading a play. Okay, he states specifically that it is a written art form. Okay, the spectacle is only a means to present it. While on the other hand, Arthur Miller takes the stance that theater is an oral art form. It is something which is to be performed, whether on stage or on TV or on radio is different, because हर performance का जो method है on across all three mediums would be substantially different, but जो dialogues हैं वो same रहेंगे, and वो dialogues में एक चीज जो common रहेगी is hearing those dialogues. So Arthur Miller, in one of his interviews, when the Death of a Salesman uh, finished 50 years of its first staging in 1999, he was interviewed, and in this interview, he actually says that I cannot write a play unless I can hear those characters speaking. I cannot write a play until I can hear it. He sees the theater experience as necessarily auditory. Aristotle, on the other hand, considers the auditory part and the visual part as something which is suspendable. Okay, that is a major difference, although that is not something that is brought about by the difference in the tragic hero. द नेक्स्ट चेंज जो हम लोगों ने अभी बहुत बार डिस्कस कर लिया ऑलरेडी, सो आई थिंक इट वुड बी रिडंडेंट फॉर मी टू गो ओवर इट अगेन, बट आई शुड मेंशन इट, इज द चेंज इन सोशल नॉर्म्स. जो सोशल वैल्यूज हैं वो आपको एक एरिस्टोटेलियन ट्रेजेडी में और एक मॉडर्न ट्रेजेडी में जो मिलर की है उसमें डिफरेंट मिलेंगी, एंड वेरी रीजनेबली सो, एंड देयर इज नो नीड टू एलैबोरेट इट बिकॉज वी ऑलरेडी हैव, but in case anybody would like to add something to it, you are more than welcome. Finally, एक group of changes that cannot be exactly defined would be the changes that happened between Aristotle and Miller that had nothing to do with the two of them. Aristotle created his own ideas, and ideas were developed upon that. जो न्यू क्लासिकल थिएटर है फ्रांस का, that used to reign with almost an iron fist until the likes of Miller had emerged in France, and वहां पे plays लिखे गए most notably by people like Samuel Beckett. तो उस बीच में और भी चेंजेस आते हैं, जैसे कि शेक्सपियर को अगर हम एक एग्जांपल लें तो शेक्सपियर ट्रैजिक कैरेक्टर्स या फिर कॉमिक कैरेक्टर्स एरिस्टोटेलियन ही मेंटेन करते हैं, लेकिन अदर देन दैट देयर आर सेवरल थिंग्स व्हिच आर वेरी एक्सप्लिसिटली अनएरिस्टोटेलियन, जैसे कि एरिस्टोटेलियन ट्रेजेडीज में दिस इज नॉट समथिंग दैट एरिस्टोटल मेंशंस पर से, बट इट इज समथिंग दैट इमर्ज्ड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ एरिस्टोटेलियन ट्रेजेडी, is there needs to be the three unities, so called three unities: unity of action, unity of time, and unity of location.
बंद कर दिया मैंने कैमरा.
Now, Aristotle only talks about the unity of time. He says that any tragedy should be over at max within one revolution of the sun, which has been interpreted by various people as 24 hours or 12 hours.
क्यों तो लिए
So, what he means that it should not spread for more than one day, anyhow.
कितने की
Okay. Other than that, बाकी दो यूनिटीज जो उसके वर्क्स को इंटरप्रेट करके और उस टाइम के प्लेस को इंटरप्रेट करके डेवलप की गई हैं, वो है यूनिटी ऑफ लोकेशन एंड यूनिटी ऑफ एक्शन. Unity of action is something which Aristotle refers in passing, but he never truly describes it. Is that there should be one single action that takes place. Like ये चीज एक major difference है between epic poetry and tragedy. ये कि there needs to be only one single action that takes place. There should not be any parallel stories or stories which are crossing over other stories, जो कि epic poetry में inevitable है because of its size and the subject matter. अब आप इसके लिए अगर आप कोई एक इंडियन एनालॉजी देखनी हो तो you can go through Ramayana and Mahabharata, and then you can go through the innumerable poems written across Indian languages which are based on the episodes of Ramayana and Mahabharata. You are going to find poems like Saket. You are going to find poems like Rashmi Rathi, which are primarily based in one particular action, which are based, जैसे कि there is this Gujarati poem that we studied for our bachelors. I don't remember the name of it, but it talks specifically about Nakul ka episode in the Mahabharata when he realizes sorry, Nakul nahi, Sahadev. Sorry, Sahadev, when he realizes that there is going to happen a war and they are going to win it, and they are going to kill their brothers, but Krishna tells him not to tell it to the others. Okay, that part has been taken from the Mahabharata and it is one single action. However, ये जो notion था of maintaining one single action, one single location, one single span of time was not something that was respected by later authors, and very reasonably so, because they wanted to express with newer mediums of expression. जैसे कि शेक्सपियर के केस में हम लें तो शेक्सपियर does not respect, अगर हम रोमियो एंड जूलियट का एग्जांपल वी हैव बीन टेकिंग, तो रोमियो एंड जूलियट spans for over 6 days, which is definitely not one day. Then रोमियो एंड जूलियट जो है it takes place in a dining hall, it takes place in a graveyard, it takes place in a church. There is no unity of action. Oedipus Rex, on the other hand, जिसको Aristotle praises, it takes place in the court of King Oedipus from start to finish.
आखिरी साल ले जाए ना.
ऐसा हमें उसके बाद देखने को नहीं मिलता, and it is something which Arthur Miller inherited. It is not something that he innovated, but this of course makes him different from Aristotle, because उसके Death of a Salesman में, for example, we find 2-3 different locations जहाँ पे ये प्ले वर्क करता है, जो इस प्ले को बैकड्रॉप प्रोवाइड करती है. ये डिफरेंसेस इनके क्रिएटेड नहीं है एरिस्टोटल और मिलर के, बट इट नेवरदलेस So with this, I don't have anything more to say from my own regard, except this one line which I read from the Poetics and is one of my favorite things that Aristotle has ever said: to learn gives the liveliest pleasures not only to philosophers but to men in general. It was actually his argument for the catharsis, for the cause of poetry, that people like to be aware. There is a joy that is created in the very act of learning. So with this, I would conclude this presentation. Thank you very much for your time, and I am stop sharing the screen. So if anybody has anything to say, you are welcome. Social interest, because I have great friends, I have great family, but they do not share that